It's Wednesday night, and we're live from Oakdale, Washington, in the Educated Touch studio. Welcome to Ethics Outside the Box, with your host, Nathan Nordstrom. Special guests include you. Here he is, Nathan Nordstrom.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ethics Outside of the Box. Once again, coming to you regarding massage therapy and ethics. I just wanted to just be excited today. I actually just came back to the hotel. I'm on the road today, but I just came back from a massage. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to give a shout out to Amanda at Newtown, Pennsylvania. She did a great job, we had an amazing massage, and actually kind of demonstrated a couple of really important things. So just wanted to let you know I am on the road. That's why you have a grainier view of me and probably not the high quality audio you guys are getting used to here with me, and I'm getting a cold. So we've got all the grounds covered. Today we actually have a really awesome topic to be covered. I'm really excited about this. We are going to be talking today about transference, counter-transference, dual relationships. We're going to be talking about all the different challenges that actually come up with massage therapists. And or some of them, I guess, not all of them. But I just wanted to make sure that you were aware and connected with some of the ways that we are going to have concerns here. So I also want to make sure you remember that if you're on Facebook Live, hello, it's great to see you. If you are not, then I hope you're enjoying this YouTube video, and we can actually spur some excitement about the subject at hand. This is Educated Touch's website. It is very broken down, very calm, very cool, very collected, with all sorts of different pieces. This is our YouTube page, Educated Touch. You do have Ethics Outside the Box, all 45 hours of classes, so feel free to join us there. However, we are using, for our outline of this class, of this series of Ethics Outside the Box, the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers Code of Ethics and Standard of Practice. I always have to remind people how to get to the standards of practice. You take your search browser and you go to www.ncbtmb.org, and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom. On the bottom left-hand side, you see about NCB, bylaws, who the certification board is, the code of ethics, NCB policies, standard of practice, and then webmail. You got the standard of practice, what we're looking for, and we're going to click that up because today we're actually in standard 5, which standard 5 is a more notable standard. And there's only a couple of reasons. One, because it's the roles and boundaries that we have as massage therapists. And so being able to make sure to structure our boundaries and structure our roles and know our role as a massage therapist is really, really important. Today we're actually going to be talking about standard 5, C, and D. Let me, sorry about the squeak there. It's, now I've got it larger here. We'll probably be able to read it. Standard 5, letter C, and letter D. So I'm going to start off with letter C. Recognize and limit the impact of transference and countertransference between the client and the certificant or the massage therapist. Okay, so they're specifically talking about board certified massage therapists, so they're using the term certificant. But I want to make sure that we're talking about all massage therapists. And what is transference and countertransference anyway? So transference and countertransference is the emotional connection that we have with people who is not the actual relationship that we have. There's several ways that I've seen transference and countertransference labeled and put out there. a couple of the key pieces that I wanted to really have people be conscious of is that transference and countertransference. Oh, hold on, I gotta move this. There we go. Transference and countertransference are the key pieces of the relationship that make an uncomfortable situation comfortable. One of the easiest ways of looking at this is if you have someone come into the room and they're wearing a badge on their chest and they walk in and say, "Excuse me, can I see your license and registration?" or "What's going on here?" You treat them different than if a person who was homeless or appeared homeless, they were dirty and disheveled, came up and said, "What's going on here?" Because the outfit or the uniform that that therapist or that person is wearing makes you connect them with a police officer. If they are a police officer or not, it makes you assume that they are and connect with them, that they are a police officer. So if you're looking at connecting with another person and you're saying, "Hey, you know what? I want to make sure that my relationship is a good relationship. I want to make sure that I'm not just talking to this person as that badge, I'm talking to them as a person." In the massage therapy industry, we actually have a couple of really challenging directions that we look at. The first one is that the situation that a client gets in when they get onto our table is standard in our culture a very uncomfortable situation. We're asking someone to take off all of their clothes, lay down on a table under a sheet, and allow us to touch their body in ways that most times no one else has ever done. And so we have to walk a communication line to make sure that we're understanding what we're building in that client's mind. So a client comes in, they are uncomfortable, so they kind of say, "Okay, I'm going to assume that they are like this type of person to make you feel comfortable." So what are some of those relationships that they can put in? You know, you're kind of like their massage doctor. So this doctor-patient relationship starts being created to make you seem like you're the doctor. You're the person who they are connecting with. You're the person that they're comfortable with. You're that person that they really can confide in with medical information. This can be a challenge. Let's talk about some of the challenges that can cause. The first big challenge that a doctor-patient transference can have is them asking you things that are outside of your scope of practice. "Hey, should I stop taking this medication? Hey, gosh, I'm not going to go to my doctor because you have fixed me." When you may have masked the condition, you may have changed the condition, you may not have fixed them, but you've changed the concept, the perspective. These are all different things that you have to be conscious of. So there's that glorifying level of, "Wow, I look up to you because you're kind of like my doctor." So that's one of the relationships. Now let's go into some of the other relationships because they can be just as detrimental. One of my friends, he's a great massage therapist, he actually gave me an example of a parent-child relationship that really worked out only because the massage therapist stood back and said, "You know what, probably shouldn't work in the relationship that way." He works for one of the franchise companies, and as a massage therapist, he actually saw the husband and wife regularly, and they were an older couple, and they had children who were about his age, a little older, a little younger. And as he saw them, they were always interested in how he's doing, where he's going, what he's doing. He finally decided that he was going to step out of the franchise industry and open up his own practice. And as he did this, these two clients wanted to continue going with him and seeing him. So they offered to follow him to his own practice, and the franchise, they left the franchise and he left the franchise, and they decided that, it's really hard to start your own business, so we want to give you a large sum of money to help you with your startup costs, to make sure that you can build your practice effectively and have enough starter capital. He had a hard time because he really could have used that money to start up his practice. However, he realized that this is a transference of a parent-child relationship in the situation that he was at. Just because people want to give you money doesn't mean that they're falling into this parent-child relationship, but this is a transference that can happen, and you can notice it by things where they're wanting to give you money, they're wanting to help you out, they're wanting to share, they're wanting to talk to you about personal things that a parent or a child would connect with. These are things where there's a challenge. In this example, it's you're the younger person and they're the elder person. So if you're working on a lot of geriatric patients and you're in anywhere from your 60s and down, you could have this type of transference. If you are in your 40s and up and working on clients who are 20 years younger, then you can have that parent-child relationship as well, or transference of a relationship. It is not an actual relationship. It's a pseudo or a fake relationship. These are challenges that massage therapists have. As they're looking at the relationships that they're building, they're looking at a lot of the expectations, a lot of the challenges, and a lot of the statements that come up. And the fake relationship actually distracts from the therapeutic relationship. It acts as a pseudo relationship, oversighting what the massage therapy relationship is about. So that's a ugly situation to have. That's really for any of these transference types of relationships. So the third one, after we've gone through the parent-child and the doctor-patient, is lover. A lot of people haven't been touched physically except for in a romantic relationship. And so as a massage therapist, if you're touching a large amount of their skin and helping them feel better, and they go, oh, wow, this person makes me feel great. Now they're trying to connect with this concept of, why are they making me feel so good? And I haven't been touched like this before. And all of that comes together into this one spot where they say, oh, I must be in love with that person. Now that love relationship actually is a really dangerous spot. You have people who then say, gosh, you make me feel so good, I just want to marry you, or I want to take you home. That's not so beneficial or or strong. It's a real challenge to a massage therapist because it's not directly focused on helping them recover from the relation or from the situation. So one of the biggest things you can do as a massage therapist is focus back to the actual relationship that you have. Building a healthy relationship as a therapeutic massage therapist, focusing on the conditions and connecting with the importance of the work that they're doing. Please excuse me, this cold has really come on really quick. All right, so those are the three relationships that a client can transfer to make the situation feel normal or conscious. There's others, but that's the biggest, most normal for massage therapists. Now going the other direction is counter-transference. So that is how you feel about the client. This is the relationship that you as the massage therapist fall in to create an understanding or a piece of understanding regarding the situation. For example, if you have a client who falls into that doctor-patient transference, and they're like, wow, you're so great. Gosh, I've been taking aspirin for the last 6 months to get rid of this pain. Should I stop taking my aspirin? If you fall into the counter-transference and say, yeah, you should, if we got rid of the pain, you should probably stop taking it, then you're starting to have a challenge with your scope of practice. You're having a problem with the things that you're saying you can do and the things that you're actually supposed to be doing. The other counter-transference situations that you have, I have a great story that I got from a massage therapist years ago. She had a client who was having the lover transference and was really starting to be infatuated with her and like her and really connect with her. And in that relationship, that was supposed to be a therapeutic relationship, the client started coming to see her more often and was bringing her gifts and things like that. And finally she realized that, or finally she decided that, yes, he was probably going to ask her out. And he ended up asking her out, and her response, instead of, you know what, I'm your massage therapist, I don't date my clients, and the feelings that you're having are actually not specifically built on a relationship that you want to have, but actually on me helping you feel better. She said, well, gosh, he is cute, and he really does. He is really kind, and he's really this and really that. And she built in a justification table of her behavior so that she could fall into the countertransference, because that was part of her weakness, was she wanted to have a relationship, and she was not in a relationship. So falling into countertransference can be subconscious, or it can be conscious. You can want something bad enough that you can build a transference into, or a countertransference into, any situation where a client is transferring a relationship upon you. So let's go into the third one, and that is the parent-child relationship. If you have someone who comes in and just, oh gosh, you're so sweet, you're so kind, and they talk to you like you're their mother or father, and they are doing great and really a good client, and then they call you up and they tell you, oh hey, I just had a really bad day, I just wanted to talk to you. Hey, this is what's going on. They're treating you like a friend or like an authority figure in their life, and they're wanting to get advice. And this is where a lot of times your counseling side is not what you're paid for. You should not be giving counseling, and parents have a counseling authority and a counseling responsibility to their children. And so this is that challenge where you go into that other side to say, well, wait a second, they're a parent, I'm not their parent, they're an authority figure, I need to make sure that the relationship is truly a massage client and a massage therapist. So being able to point those relationships out is very important, to be able to say, you know what, as your massage therapist, I don't know what you should do. I really think you should probably talk to either a counselor or a family member, someone who you can take advice from that you really trust. That's going to be a much more strong and healthy way to go about getting people, getting a healthy relationship. That will actually pull out a lot of that transference and countertransference into relationship if you draw it right back to what the therapeutic relationship is about. You've got to make sure that you're building a therapeutic relationship and not building relationships that are not the therapeutic relationship, that they are that they're anything other than the therapeutic relationship is going to distract from that relationship as a massage therapist. So being conscious there. Now let's actually go back here and look at one other piece that's going to be really important here. Let's see, standard of, hold on. Here we go. Standard of practice C. I like how it starts off with recognize and limit the impact. So when you're seeing a client and that client is saying things like, gosh, you're a really great massage therapist, say thank you very much, because that's the relationship you're trying to reinforce. You talk to me really well, and gosh, you gave me the best advice. That's diverting from the massage therapist. Thank you very much for coming to see me. I'm really grateful. I'm not here as a counselor. I can't give really good advice. I'm not paid to give advice. I'm more to work on your muscles and your body. And so recognize your responsibilities as whatever role you're actually in. Singular role, not roles that you have. When you multiply other roles into your relationship, you dilute the relationship with which you have with that person. No matter what the role is, no matter what the position is. If you have a friend who's also a coworker, who's also this and that, that's a dual, multiple relationship. We're going to get into that next. But making sure to build the physical relationship, that structure of how you connect with your clients, and remind them that it's a therapeutic relationship, and that's the important role that you have as the massage therapist. All right, so limit the impact of transference and countertransference between the client and the therapist. So as you start seeing that a client is starting to show an affection towards you, or show a respect towards you that's in a different relationship, or wanting to counsel with you in different ways, these are all challenges that if you don't put them in check early on, they're going to really affect the rest of the relationship and reduce your ability to be a quality therapeutic massage therapist. Second one, standard 5D. This one I love, and it's so hard for so many massage therapists. Avoid dual or multidimensional relationships that could impair professional judgment or result in exploitation of a client, a student, an employee, a supervisor, a supervisee, a mentee, a trainer, or anyone else with whom a power differential exists. That's a lot of relationships that they actually put out there. But I want to make sure that we break these down just a little bit here. Avoid a dual or multidimensional relationship. Dual relationships, I like to think of those as a very specific type of relationship. If you are doing trades, quote unquote, with another massage therapist, if you are have another massage therapist and you say, hey, you know what, I'll give you a massage and you give me a set massage, and it'll wipe the books clean so no one will have to pay anyone. You are creating an exact replica dual relationship. Because when you're on the table, you're the client and they're the therapist. And then when they're on the table, you're the therapist and they're the client. That is a dual relationship. I am not saying don't get trades with another massage therapist. What I am saying is make sure that when you create a relationship that is a dual relationship, you create boundaries and policies and really create procedures so that you know what's appropriate with one person and what's appropriate with another. When each client is on the table, you have to make sure that each client feels like they are being the client. I'm going to talk about this one a lot because I've done this one wrong an awful lot. Thankfully, for a short period of time. I had a trade going on with a massage therapist, and whenever she came for a massage. I would give her a massage and ask her about how things are going, how she's doing. And she would tell me how things are going and kind of talk about her physical body and what's going on with different things, how her recovery is going. And then a couple of weeks later, I'd get a massage from her. And as I'd be getting a massage, during my entire massage, she'd be telling me about how things are going and what's going on, and how her massage that she had 2 weeks ago really helped her with this and with that. And I realized at that point that I have 2 hours of hearing about her, no hours hearing about me. Yes, I'm getting the physical effect of the massage, but I'm also getting the mental effect of giving and caring about her physical condition as a double whammy. And this is an abstract dual relationship where it's more one-sided on how things are going. So making sure that your communication boundaries and policies are put into procedure, and you're saying, hey, you know what, today we're focusing on me, so let's talk about my condition, what needs to happen. It's really important to look at that dual relationship because it happens in so many different ways. If you work at a chiropractor's office, I had a situation where I worked with a chiropractor who I really appreciated. She was outstanding, but we had to work really hard on creating policies because I would go to her for chiropractic adjustments. So she would be my doctor and I would be her patient. I worked at her facility, so she was my boss and I was her contractor. She would come get a massage, so she would be my client and I would be her therapist. We actually worked really well together outside of the clinic, so it was very much that we were friends. So we had 4 different relationships there that were all built into one. Those 4 relationships became really mucky to make sure that we weren't talking as friends when she was on my table, or we weren't talking about my clients when I was getting a chiropractic adjustment, or not talking about her patients when she's getting a massage, or all these different relationships really kind of gray up and become a multidimensional relationship. So how do you avoid multidimensional relationships? As humans, we generally want to make friends with people or be friendly with people. That's not a bad thing to do. Just a moment, I'm going to sneeze. I will edit that out. Sorry about that. So we want to be friendly and be kind and really have a high quality relationship with our clients. That's not a bad thing. That actually is a strength to have a cordial and friendly relationship with people. However, you want to make sure that you're not crossing that boundary into making friends. Your clients should not be your friends. I'm going to say that again. Your clients should not be your friends. I always get the argument, but I live in this town or I market and I have friends who come to see me because they trust me. They won't go to any other massage therapist. I understand that. Not a problem. But when they're on your table, they are your client and not your friend. You should be doing certain things as a massage therapist that you wouldn't do as a friend, as well as you should be doing certain things as a friend with your friends that you wouldn't do with your massage clients. Knowing the relationship and boundaries that you're creating are going to really make or break you. I always use this example as well. How many friends do you have that pay you every time they hang out with you? If that's a setup where you're saying, hey, yeah, I talk to all my friends, yeah, I oh, however, I only have friends who pay me. Well, that's not a really strong dual friendship, because friendships should have two sides. You should be able to not only confide in your friends, but have your friends confide in you. And so you have that relationship balanced out there. Other pieces here, let me just get back to sharing this screen here. Avoid dual or multidimensional relationships that could impair. A huge piece that could impair. Didn't say you can't have any dual or multidimensional relationships. Another relationship that I usually see in the massage therapy profession is someone goes to work at a spa, a franchise or a spa, and they then say, hey, I have a friend who's a massage therapist who went to massage school with me. How about I invite them to come and they interview, and then they become co-workers and friends. Yes, it is a dual relationship to be a co-worker and a friend, because what happens if one of your friends at the spa starts doing something that's not right? Now you're stuck in this situation where you want to help your friend out, but they're doing something wrong, and so you have to then take a standard and say, wait a second, are they my friend or are they my coworker? And if you can say yes to both and make sure that they are suffering consequences for actions that are inappropriate, then you're having a healthy relationship. If your gut gets swayed at all and it's like, oh, I don't like this, but it's my friend, but I need to tell on him, but I don't. If you're in that situation, then you're in an ethical dilemma, because you haven't looked at really confiding in what the relationship is. No matter what your coworker is, if they're not following the laws, not following the policies, you would do a certain thing. If that's the case, then you're holding true to your ethical standards. If your friend gets mad at you because you told on them, guess what? They're not that great of a friend in so many ways. They should respect you as a professional enough to say, you know what, you had to do that. I understand. Now, do they have to like it? No, they don't have to like it. But they should hold true to, you are a professional first and foremost in the professional setting, and you're their friend, but you have to make sure that everything's right. I've seen a lot of massage therapists who are coworkers and friends until one gets advanced to the lead massage therapist position or to the assistant manager position, and then it becomes this whole challenge that, well, one has authority over the other, and this dual relationship now has authority responsibilities, and then it becomes a real hard situation to connect with and to abide by in the workplace, because one is responsible for the other. That's a challenge. That's something that a lot of massage therapists can't handle if they haven't practiced keeping themselves going. All right, so I've got a bunch of statements here from a couple of friends. Dan Schwartz, hey buddy, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Marco, hey Nathan. Bless me, bless you. Gesundheit, oh, thank you. Yeah, that sneeze is a challenge. As a former spa manager, I had a friend I went to massage school with and had to fire them for a specific issue. That's hard, right, Dan? I mean, it's one of those things where if you are looking at the importance of the professional relationship, you can hold on to it and create strength. But you have to be honest and forthright and be a professional when you need to be a professional. Wonder if that's why I don't have any friends at work. Yes, that is partially why, Marco, you don't have friends at work. I hate to say it. I keep the walls up. Never in 4 years have I hung out with coworkers outside of the office. You know, it's not a bad thing. It is one of those things that you really need to either be strong on and say, I am friendly at work and I have a friend at home. I find it interesting, Marco, I consider you a friend, but I'd have no problem reporting to the licensing board. And I think you understand that because we're professional colleagues first and foremost, but we also understand each other and are comfortable with each other. I don't know if, Marco, you'd consider me a friend, but I mean, especially since I'd rat you out in a heartbeat. But I don't think you'd do anything that I'd have to write you out for. So I guess there's some pieces there. So just being conscious with what a work friend is and what a personal friend is, I think is a portion of that relationship to be really conscious of. Yes, good friends and professionals. Yeah, I mean, and I have a lot of, I guess, partially because of my relationships in AMTA, people who I've worked on the National Certification Board with, people I've worked in the American Massage Therapy Association with. I've built relationships where we work together for the profession, and then you enjoy them in an outside of the profession world. And so I guess most of the people that I've had on as guests, I started my relationship with them in a professional way, and most of the connection that I have with them is professional. But if something happened to them personally, I would feel like I need to not only be professional, but be a friend to a lot of them in certain ways. I don't know if David Otto or Colette have stepped on, but those are a perfect example in my mind of friends who are professionals. And so we're professionals and friends. So we're professional friends, but we call each other out. We help each other. And you're able to really strengthen each other when you can do that in so many wonderful ways. All right, so let's continue on here. So avoid dual or multiple relationships that could impair professional judgment. That's the friend who's less professional and telling you, well, you don't have to report me for this, do you? That's impairing professional judgment. Or result in exploiting of a client. So if you have a client who's your friend and you decide that, oh, I'm going to be a little bit late today, and so you just call them up and say, oh, sorry about that, I'm a little bit late. I'll make it up next time. You're exploiting that client-therapist relationship because that's their time. That's the time that you set aside specifically for them. The student-teacher relationship, especially when we're looking at massage schools, this is a huge one that I've had to work with and really connect with. One of my good friends, she went to massage school, and I was his instructor. And I didn't have a friendship with him while he was a student. However, once he graduated as a professional, you still have that mentor-mentee relationship, which comes later, but really that student-teacher relationship that goes after the relationship of instructor and student. This idea of, actually, I guess here's another example. I had a cousin of mine who went to the massage school that I was teaching at. and she was in one of my classes. And so I, needing transparency, made sure to announce that, hey, this person is one of my cousins. However, I'm going to make sure that I treat her no different than anyone else in the school. If you notice that I'm doing anything, please point it out so that I can make sure to correct that behavior. I brought that out to the students, the entire class, because I didn't want anyone to find out later. That's what transparency is there for, is just to make sure that everyone knows. But that I would be aware of it and be conscious about it. This cousin, I had spent a lot of time as a childhood being raised close to this cousin. They were actually from a different part of Oregon. But in the teaching and processing, when that person was in my classroom, my job was to be the instructor, not to be a friend, not to be a cousin, not to be any other relationship, but hold true to that student-teacher relationship. Employee and employer relationship. That's another huge one that I think gets manipulated in so many ways, where if you have a boss who wants you to give them a massage and wants you to go a little overtime or anything else, you've got to have that written up front, direct, overly correct, and overly written to confirm that everyone knows what the relationship. Yes, Daniel, friendly professionals. That is a term. You should be friends, or you should be friendly with every professional in your professional environment. You should be friendly and kind to people as humans. Yes, you have to be friendly and kind to other humans. It's a horrible, horrible thing to say. All right, real quick, we've got Marco, ouch, that's too bad, hard put. Okay, here we go. Okay, yes, good friends and professionals. And I think there's an important piece that I want to point out, that the people who you want as friends should be able to be professional. If they can't be professional to the standard of your professionalism, you probably don't want to hang out with them too much, because you want to have peers and friends that are, or friendly people who are really connected and understand that you're alive, understand that you're holding true to your standards as a massage therapist. Hold on, forgot. There we go. Hey, Colette Wilson has joined. Hey, Colette, I talked about you a little bit already. Just that we're friends. All right. The next piece that I wanted to really be on is not just that we're talking about the client, student, employee, but supervisor, mentor, and trainee. So if you are looking at working in a spa and you are a trainer and you have that friend who's a trainee, now you've got coworker, you've got trainer, trainee, you have friend. This is so multidimensional. Holding true to the relationship that you're supposed to have during that time and practicing it is going to make you a better therapist. So practicing your relationships to hold those relationships strong. Supervisor, and that's where that kind of piece comes in. Marco has dropped off because the feed was bad. Sorry, Marco. Hopefully you can come back. Employee, supervisory, mentee. So a mentee mentor. I have noticed that there are several groups that are trying to create a mentor relationship with massage therapists. This is a massage therapist who has more experience connecting with a massage therapist that has less experience. This is a huge piece of important connection and relationship. Connection and relationship with a mentor and mentee means that the mentor is generally giving for free, or there's some cases where there is a paid mentor relationship, a structured mentor relationship. And that relationship is really important to connect with, because what happens is the mentor is giving advice, giving situations, taking a third perspective, as well as their years of experience to give that mentee a strength. Now, how can someone mess up that mentor-mentee relationship? If you've been in practice for 10 years, and I hate that every week I've been harping on a specific type of dual relationship, but I do have to point it out again, that if you have a multi-level marketing or network marketing business, and you are the massage therapist, and you are giving people this business opportunity, you're now creating a multidimensional relationship, because you are not only their massage therapist or their mentor, but then you're saying, hey, you should get into this business too. Now your coworkers, mentor, mentee, you're their therapist and their coworker or their upline supervisor, or all of those pieces hold a little bit of icky glue that changes the relationship that you have with each of those people. How you overcome that is structure it with policies, procedures, and statements that say, when you're on my massage table, you're my client. When you're doing a mentoring session, I'm here only for the purpose of mentoring you. When you're there as a business person, you're only there as a business person. The more fine you can separate those relationships, the easier it will be to make sure that you do not have things cross over the line. So the ending part is really kind of fun. So let me share the ending part here real quick, because it really holds true to that important relationship and why it's important to hold these all separate. And it could impair professional judgment or result in exploiting of the relationships that are there, or anyone else with whom a power differential exists. Can we think of any other relationships where there is a power differential already out there? If you can think of something, I've got a whole bunch that run around in my head, but where does that power differential come out? Where does that power differential show its face so that you can see that you have someone else has power over you, or you have power over them? I'm going to go all the way to the whole dark end of the universe and say drug dealer and customer. Guess what? There's a huge power differential there. And so being able to hold that power differential as a drug addict, which you really don't have, the only way to do that is to actually break the addiction and report and change your behavior so that you no longer have that power differential. Hopefully I don't have too many drug addicts on this webinar who are concerned about that behavior, but that is one of those pieces that you have to be conscious of. Any other places where there's a power differential, guys? One that I am very conscious of right now with the power differential is family. My daughter, my wife. We have a differential power in so many different relationships because she has authority in some areas, I have authority in the others, and we work together for that. But the key piece here is that power differential, especially with my daughter. When my daughter asks for me to work on her back, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I have to make sure to separate myself as a massage therapist from dad. And so I have them say, okay, so when do you want me to do it? Perfect. We're going to do that this evening at this time. All right. So then I have her come in and I do an intake interview. I talk to her. I ask specific questions. I create boundaries because those types of boundaries are going to be the important piece that your children or your spouse will expect from you. There is a story out there, and once again, this is a story. I don't know where it came from. I got this when I was in massage therapy school, and I don't know if there's an actual person related to this story or not. But I think every massage therapist probably heard this story when they were in massage school about a massage therapist who was married or had a boyfriend, or boyfriend or girlfriend. The relationship changes depending on who's telling the story. But the massage therapist then had sexual relationships with their partner at the work office. And as the massage therapist went to work the next day, didn't have any problem, was working, but the spouse or partner had a hard time not thinking about them in a sexual way when they're at work. And so the partner, spouse, felt jealous and was accusatory of that massage therapist and what they were doing with all of their clients. Because you didn't create boundaries with your relationship, you lose out on all the benefits of making sure that everyone is safe and professional. It's that important to make sure that you're holding on to your professional relationships in professional environments. The environment should be a place that represents a specific behavior. If you ever are looking at crossing boundaries, you have to look at the result of crossing those boundaries as well, both in location as well as with a person. What is the policy regarding having a relationship with a client? You don't have a relationship with a client, period. You end the relationship before you actually want to perceive the relationship, and depending on the state and depending on the National Certification Board, how long you have to be away from that relationship can vary. I've heard all the way up to 3 and 7 years, but I've also heard down to 6 months and 3 months. So being able to end that relationship before you start a new relationship is very, 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 very important. Because of specifically the power differential. The power differential actually exists for a period of time. After you see them, they still have that connection of you in that role. And it continues and it continues and it continues until you finally don't have that role. But it takes time to break free from that role. It takes time to break free from that position. It takes time to break free from the expectation, and it takes time for you to actually build the ability to only see them in a specific light that is not therapist client. Interestingly, in February is when I closed out my practice in Pullman, Washington. And it was I had a full practice, pretty darn close to full, if not full. And so I had many clients in the Pullman area. However, I don't hang out in Moscow Pullman area except for when I went to work. And so I didn't see people in the community at their jobs very often. Just this last week, I went to the Harlem Globetrotters game with my family. And as I was walking in, I noticed one of the people who worked at the Coliseum, the stadium, was one of my clients. And as I walked by, I smiled and nodded, and she smiled and said hello. And then I realized it was one of my clients that I had seen. I was like, oh, hi. Didn't recognize you. And we kept walking. And I realized that I had overstepped the statement, but she smiled and laughed and moved on. It's one of those things where even after, let's see, this is November, 9 months of not working on clients in a environment, you still have a mental connection to that person as your client. So trying to change that power differential and change that role in your brain as it exists is really difficult. Some people are probably better at it than I am, but holding to a role and a responsibility both gives you strength and gives you a power to understand what people are expecting and wanting in a relationship and how they can actually really strengthen themselves as massage therapists and as clients, and holding true to those same relationships so that they can have safe professional relationships, friendly professional relationships in the workplace. They can have friendly professional relationships in the volunteer front. They can have friendly professional relationships in their clerical connection, their religious connection. I just heard back, last month, a talk from a man who went to church. And as he was going to church, he had business dealings where his business was failing, and his business was getting sued by customers. And his volunteer clergy, the bishop or counselor in the bishopric in his congregation, was the lawyer who was representing the opposing force who was coming to sue him. I thought, wow, that would be a really hard relationship to separate out this person's face as they're in a lawsuit against you, as they're pushing against your ethical professional standards, and then holding true to the relationship. So as time goes on, his story continues that he actually ended up being one of the volunteer in the clergy, in the clerical responsibilities, in the leadership of their church, and pulled through this relationship by realizing that he really needed another volunteer to support him. And this was the individual who he decided, you know what, I really can work well with him, even if that situation was bad. You know, you can be friends, you can be respectful, and you can be kind. And you can have multiple relationships, but you need to make sure to live each relationship in that point, in that moment, and not have your mother as your client who's asking you about your laundry, your sister who's your client who's asking you about things in your past, or your friend who's talking about the basketball game that they won, and it has nothing to do with the reason that they're there, which is trying to relax. Hold your relationship strong. Hold each relationship as a respectful piece. You'll be stronger because of it. Your friends will respect you more. and your family members will recognize your professionalism and hold true to the relationships that you have. Friends, I appreciate you joining me today. We are going to be wrapping it up. If you need anything, feel free to email me at nathan@educatedtouch.com. I'm always here to hear your stories, your experiences. If you have something that's pressing, urgent, or that you're excited or concerned about, feel free to email me. I'm more than willing to talk to you. Hope you're having a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
The hour has flown by. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion with Ethics Outside the Box. As you've seen, Nathan uses many second-hand stories of ethical situations. If you'd like to share your story or you have any questions, feel free to contact him at nathan@educatedtouch.com. If you have just watched this video and would like to continue in education for home study, you can go to shop.educatedtouch.com under the home study options with the date or episode number to receive your exam. If you would please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will keep you up to date on new videos. If you'd like to attend one of our live courses, you can find upcoming scheduled events at www.educatedtouch.com. Thank you for joining us today.